Welcome to Zayed University. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Mustafa Aydogan, Assistant Professor at Zayed University in the College of Natural and Health Sciences. He holds a Master's in School Counseling from the University of Toledo and a doctorate in Counselor Education and Supervision from Kent State University. Dr. Aydogan has taught and conducted research in the United States, Turkey, and now the UAE, focusing on areas such as multicultural counseling, counseling supervision, international student experiences, and Q methodology. Alongside his academic career, he has practiced as a mental health counselor, supporting clients with challenges such as anxiety, depression, trauma, and identity. Passionate about advancing culturally sensitive approaches in mental health, Dr. Aydogan contributes actively through teaching, research, and international collaborations. Thank you for joining us today. Keeping in mind Zayed University's Master of Science in Counseling Psychology program, I have a few questions for you. Firstly, how does Zayed University's Master of Science in Counseling Psychology program align with the UAE's national priorities for mental health and well-being? And what role does the program play in addressing the adult mental health challenges faced by the UAE population?
Thank you. Great to be here. So, UAE National Strategy for Wellbeing 2031 includes ideas like promoting mental health, positive thinking, strong family background, and healthy lifestyle. So, also another policy, the UAE National Policy for Promotion and Mental Health, aims to reduce stigma and increase access to mental health services and improve services and service qualities for the citizens. Our master's program specializes on mental health well-being, and we have specific classes designed to meet these standards expected of our program. So we specifically offer classes in multicultural counseling, public health, and other classes that I will mention in a few minutes. We also offer 300 plus 300 hours of internship, and our students work in these agencies, governmental agencies, as well as hospitals and mental health services, mental health agencies, and private practice. We also focus on family counseling and family dynamics in general, as well as positive psychology and community well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Aydogan. Could you elaborate on what evidence-based interventions are in the context of counseling psychology? How do these strategies differ from traditional approaches in mental health care? And why is it crucial for counseling psychology to be grounded in evidence-based practices?
Great question, actually, especially for the mental health services and the counseling program. We used to have counseling theories and techniques in our field that were not evidence-based. So people would come up with these great ideas that sound great. However, in research, we may not find enough evidence to support what they're claiming. However, recently, in the last 20 years or so, our field has become more evidence-based, which means that anything that we do with clients, with families, with the people that we work and we serve, needs to be backed up by research. We need to have data that it's working. These ideas, for example, are generally embedded in our theories, one of which is actually the very popular one is a cognitive behavioral therapy. Another one is acceptance and commitment therapy, mindfulness-based practices. And these these classes and these theories and techniques and interventions are specifically addressed in our program, in our classes. For example, Foundations of Interventions class that we offer for our master students has all these specific techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and mindfulness-based practices. Another class that we offer is actually specifically focusing on motivational interviewing and family therapy. We not only want to use these evidence-based practices for individual therapy, but also for family therapy and group interventions in general. These have to be measurable and applicable interventions, and they generally serve for accountability, ethical practices, and credibility of our work. Over to you.
Thank you. That's very insightful. Dr. Aydogan, how do evidence-based interventions specifically address the unique psychological needs of adults? Can you provide examples of measurable outcomes from using these strategies?
Great question. So in general, our adult population in 21st century specifically faces stress related to modern lifestyle, work-life balance, career, relationships, very common trauma or past traumatic history, grief, and generally, as we get older, we face with chronic illnesses. We have classes that are evidence-based. For example, addiction and prevention class that we offer specifically in the first year for our master's students. This class focuses on substance and behavioral addictions. We use more behavioral cognitive therapy and CBT, as I mentioned, cognitive behavioral therapy, and behavioral therapy approaches. These evidence-based practices generally focus on what is working with a population that has addiction, for example. If people are struggling with behavioral addictions, such as video game or gambling or other forms of addictions, it doesn't have to be substance, but that is also important. If we use behavioral and cognitive approaches at the same time, using the support systems that are available to the patients, to the clients, we get better outcomes. And research and literature back up these claims that we traditionally had, but the ones that are backed up strongly by research, we teach these interventions in our classes. Another class that we actually offer is the mindfulness, trauma, and grief class. In this class, we focus on trauma work, traumatic history, resilience, symptoms of trauma, in different populations, and coping with the challenges that come with traumatic events and the post-trauma life, the after the traumatic experiences, what is next for this patient, so that we use evidence-based practices to support our clients and patients who will go through a tough life, but hopefully we will do our best to support them in any way possible, and we'll get to a place where they are functioning, they're healthy, and they have positive thinking strategies that are all embedded in research and evidence-based practices. Another outcome that we focus is actually the measurable improvements. So if the clients want to have a life, for example, worry-free, if they're not overthinking about specific ideas that I am not good enough or I cannot function enough in my work environments, we want them to function first, so go about their lives in a healthy way, and have a good quality of life that is about food and sleep quality, and also mental health resilience that we want them to have. And we support our students to provide this kind of service.
My next question: what career paths are available to graduates of this program, and how do evidence-based strategies enhance the effectiveness of counselors?
Our students are prepared for the licensing process. Let's start with that, because that one is going to open their career paths. Our students are going to be ready to get their licenses from different emirates in the UAE, specifically Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Most of our graduates are working in hospitals, private practices, mental health counseling services or centers, as well as governmental agencies such as government's Ministry of Health and Prevention and Early Childhood Authority. These bodies of government specifically hire our students to work with work with different communities in the UAE and serve their needs. We actually collaborate with these agencies through our own research practices, including our master students in the process, as well as the workshops that we provide for them, including our master students again. This past semester, actually, 2 of our faculty members provided a workshop on family and parenting specifically. Additionally, our students can work in NGOs, researching institutions or research institutes, and in policy development and community engagement. Evidence practice is always a part of our work because if you think about UAE's diversity and this diverse environment that we have in the UAE, we prepare our students during their 600 hours of internship to understand the needs of different agencies, different work environments, and companies, private companies, as well as governmental agencies, and prepare themselves to meet those expectations because they are going to be employed and they're going to be running the services that these agencies will provide for specific populations.
My last question for today: what makes Zayed University uniquely positioned to offer this program? And how does Zayed University support students in maintaining high standards of research and practice?
I'll start from the end of the question. So in the second year, our students go for internship as well as they work on their thesis. They could work on these in 2 different semesters or different semesters, but they can also go together. To prepare them for research-heavy and evidence-based work environments, we have them prepare a thesis that is relevant to the society's needs or each population's needs that they will be working with in these different work environments. This is a rigorous process where the student comes up with the topic and the ideas that they would like to work and the passion that they have for the field, for a specific population, for example. And our faculty members who publish and do research all the time, they actually support these students to synthesize this idea that they would like to focus for data collection, and then later they write their thesis work. We want them to publish these research outcomes and present them in national and international conferences. This is how we support our students to become better prepared for research-heavy and evidence-based work environments. Going back to the first part of the question, we are unique in our way of teaching. We have faculty members with PhDs in our program, specializing in different aspects of mental health services. For example, we have faculty members specializing on theory and interventions, working evidence-based practices, working with specific populations. We have faculty members working with cultural competency, diversity issues in the UAE society. We have faculty members working on sleep quality, mental health, wellness of communities, and different age groups working with early adulthood and later adulthood or adulthood populations. We are the only counseling psychology master's program in the UAE which provides them the pathway for a licensing process in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, as well as Dubai and other states, our other emirates. We live in the UAE society. 88% of the society it comes from different countries, different religious backgrounds, different nationality, different language backgrounds. We specifically offer multicultural competency class to prepare our students to work in the diversity that is present in the UAE's environment. we are a program that specifically focuses on adult mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Aydogan, for your insights. It was a pleasure having you today.